Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Now, God started out with this scripture as he began to impress all of this revelation in my heart and in my mind of understanding what it means when he says iniquity shall abound. See, iniquity or sin that works within you has levels. The higher the level of iniquity, the more intensified it becomes and the more frequent it remains. For instance, have you ever been upset at someone or something, and you may have gotten mad because somebody, you're driving on the road, somebody cut you off. And at that point, you feel upset. You feel that anger. Or somebody's driving in front of you, and all of a sudden they smash on their brakes, and you're not even driving close to them. You're at a good distance, but they smash on the brakes all of a sudden, and then you get this anger for that split second, and then maybe 30 seconds later, you calm down from that burst of anger, right? So this is kind of an example of what I'm trying to say. See, iniquity or sin, when it rises up in you, it abounding will mean that not only will you feel that anger, you will act in the anger, and not only act in the anger, that heat of that anger or rage will remain. See, when they cut you off on the road, you were upset for that moment of time, but after a while, you became calm again, and you kind of like blew it over. And it was just like, okay, you just let go of it. But what happens when you hear these cases of people driving and they get upset, somebody cut them off, and they go through road rage and they pull out a gun and kill the person? What takes it to that level? Well, what took it to that level was the iniquity has abounded in that person, so much so where anger and rage has been so exercised in that person, where when it shows up in a heated level where it produces wrath, murder, or violence. That's a heightened level of that iniquity. But the max level of iniquity, because as it says here, because iniquity shall abound, that means it has levels to it. It increases. It can increase and it can decrease. But what is the max level of iniquity abounding? The max level is the frequency, or the max level. Yeah, the max level is it revealing itself at a certain consistent rate. In other words, you get upset because of somebody cut you off. You get you're furious, right? But that only happens every once in a while. Once every blue moon, what they say, right? Iniquity abounding is not only do you get upset with, driving, you get to that level at the house. You get to that level of anger at work. You get to that level of anger everywhere you go. And it's consistent to the point where it happens all the time. Now, the max level of iniquity being abounded in a person is when it is consistently all the time, it remains at its full heated place of wickedness, meaning it doesn't lift from that individual. They don't get upset and then it maybe 20 seconds or 30 seconds later it dies down. When iniquity is at its max, it is in its full operation 24 hours, 7 days a week. That person is full of iniquity, or hence that person at that point is fully possessed by a demon of whatever that particular sin is. This is what it means when iniquity will abound, because at the max level of iniquity being at its heightened state, it remains in that person at its heightened heat of wickedness, evil, of whatever it is. If it's anger, that person is always angry, 24/7, 7 days a week. Furious, 24/7, 7 days a week. If it's lust, that person is lusting 24/7, 7 days a week. If it's lying, that person is lying 24/7, 7 days a week. If it's, stealing, that person is stealing. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's that particular sin being executed out in that person's heart, mind, and actions 24/7, 7 days a week. That's the max place of iniquity. And when this happens, that individual is fully possessed by that demon. What causes these demons and these evil spirits to gain strength is several things. It's you operating in that evil act consistently. Every time you operate in it, it brings forth death, sin. We understand the wages of sin is death. So that stronghold of that evil spirit gets stronger. It's just like when you exercise. If you lift weights, the more you lift the weights, the stronger you get. Well, with the evil spirit, the more you operate in that act, it gets stronger and stronger. When it gets stronger, its manifestation in you happens more frequent, to the point where it wants full possession, where it wants to take full control of you 7 days a week, 24/7, and it operates in you freely at its max level of power. That's a dangerous place. But that place where iniquity is full is a place where humanity will be one day. When that happens, it will be the worst that this earth has ever seen. The wickedness, the evilness will be at its full place, and the evil, hatred, murder, rage, it will be the worst times that there's ever been in history. And this is what the Bible speaks as well in Matthew chapter 24, verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Why? Because at that time period, people will be operating in the full zone and full level of iniquity. Iniquity will be full. Now, there's a place where the Bible speaks about this, and this is in Genesis chapter 15. So let's go to Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 through 16. And it reads as this. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterward shall they come out with great substance, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Now look at that. Look what he says. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Now in Matthew chapter 24, when Jesus said that iniquity shall abound, and he began to talk about the things that would take place during that time, and then he said that it will be the worstest times that it has ever been. And the reason why it will be the worst times is because iniquity will be at its full operation, because people will be completely possessed by demons. Okay? They will be completely possessed by demons. This is the time where people, I believe, will have taken on the mark of the beast. Now, the mark of the beast, we understand, is the 666. But I believe the mark of the beast is just also a person that have no longer, they are no longer human. They have morphed from being human to becoming a full beast, a demonic beast, the nature of Satan. That nature, that beastly nature, has taken full possession and control over that individual. Iniquity is full. When it becomes full, that means that demon has full possession of that individual. And the level of wickedness that demon will display through that person will be in a beastly manner. Now, Genesis chapter 15, what we just read, verse 16, but in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. See, in Matthew 24, at that time where it's the worst of times, something is going to take place in the worst of times. God is going to birth a people that will be the strongest people in the kingdom. There's going to be a church that God is going to birth at the worst time. There's going to be a church of people that are going to be the strongest. The relationship with Christ is going to be the greatest that has ever existed on this planet. The manifestation of Christ being in their lives will be the greatest that there has ever been. But it's only going to be at the time where it is the worst of times. See, God has a way of manifesting Himself in a heightened degree through the furnace of affliction. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We all know the story. They were thrown in the fiery furnace. It was 3 of them that was thrown in there. But when they looked in the furnace, they saw somebody else in there with them. And we know who that was. It was Jesus. He manifested Himself in a higher, tangible degree that people were able to see Him. See, the sinners, the wicked people, when they looked in and to look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they saw the Lord walking in there with them. His manifestation was shown in a greater degree. Why? Because the furnace of affliction. This is why in Matthew 24, when He talks about the worstest time that will ever be in existence, will also be the greatest level of manifestation that Jesus will have in His chosen elect. Oh, yes. See, so when we go here in Genesis chapter 15, what God is revealing to Abraham is the children of Israel, how they will be in bondage, but how God will deliver them from that bondage. But particularly in verse 16, listen what He says, but in the 4th generation, they shall come hither again. What do you mean hither again? Well, let's see what He was talking about in verse 13. Genesis 15:13. And He said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. So that's Egypt. That's the place of bondage. So when you see that in verse 16, when He says, but in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, where will they come again? They will be back in bondage. And listen to the reason why. In verse 16, but in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So what He's saying is the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full, meaning the level of wickedness through the Amorites, and the Amorites is symbolic of the world or the people out of covenant from God. The wickedness of the iniquity of the Amorites isn't full yet. So the people that the people of the world would not be operating in their full iniquity, in their full level of wickedness. And because of that, the people, the children of Israel, or the people of God, they would be at ease or in a lukewarm state. And because they would be at ease, they will go back into bondage. Because see, it's something about affliction. It's something about when the level of affliction or the level of darkness that comes upon an individual, God has a way of preserving or showing himself in a great degree. In the different plagues that happened, the plague of when the death angel came, and it was a great darkness that came upon the land, and the death angel came. Yes, it was the darkness that came, and it was a manifestation of great sorrow. But in the midst of the revelation of great sorrow, we see the salvation of the blood of the lamb that they had to put on their doorpost. See, it was a great manifestation that came based upon the darkness that came. See, God uses affliction. He uses that affliction from the wicked to cause his people to begin to cry out to him. And you see that all through the Bible. You see that through Ezekiel. You see that through Isaiah. You see that through all the prophets. When the people the people of God will begin to, start serving other gods and forget God and things like that. What did he do? He would send affliction. They would be in captivity again. And then what would happen? They would begin to cry out again unto the Lord. But when people feel it's all good and everything is just comfortable and everything is just, you're just at peace in Zion, what happens to that individual spiritually? They begin to become weak. They begin to back away from their hunger. They begin to back away from their drive. They begin to back away from their pursuit in God. And so God has to stir the nest up in order to get that individual or that people to stay focused on him. See, this is what he's saying in Genesis chapter 15, verse 16. Let's read it again. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again. They will be back at the place of bondage. Why? For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. See, when the Amorites are in full affliction, when that demon has fully possessed them and they are in full wickedness toward them, then that's gonna make them cry out to God, because, oh man, do you understand what I'm saying? See, it's very important to understand the things that the Holy Spirit is wanting us to see in these scriptures. Now, the thing that is the worst place for a person to be as it relates to the things of God is at a lukewarm place. See, a lukewarm place is a place where a person they become comfortable. They become comfortable. They're not pressing toward the Lord. See, the woman with the issue of blood, when she touched the hem of Jesus' garment, Jesus turned around and looked and asked, "Who touched me?" And the disciple was like, "Well, it's a lot of people around that's touching you. What do you mean?" But Jesus knew it was somebody that touched him with faith. It was what produced that pursuit to Jesus. It was what? The affliction that she had. That affliction was a great thing that that lady had to endure, because it created that powerful manifestation that she received of Jesus Christ. See, when you're at a lukewarm place, you're not pursuing him. Everybody else was touching Jesus at that time, but he didn't notice nothing. Why? They wasn't hungry. But that lady that had been afflicted, it produced a spiritual hunger in her that caused her to seek after Jesus with all of her heart, mind, soul, and strength. This is why Genesis chapter 15:16, he says, but in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again. In other words, I delivered them the place of bondage that they were delivered from. They gonna go right back to that same place. Why? Because the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. In other words, they're going to be at peace with the world. The Amorites, they're going to be getting along with them, mingling with them, trying to be cool with them, cool with the world. You understand? But what would have to happen when the iniquity of the Amorites get full? When those demons that would operate in them will be at its full height in manifestation, they're gonna what? Come aggressively against the children of Israel. They're gonna afflict them. The wickedness and the evilness will be at a heightened degree, which then will cause the children of Israel, or God's people, to cry out unto the Lord. And it shouldn't be that way, but for some reason, generally that's what happens. But God doesn't want us to be that way. He wants us to always love him with our whole heart, mind, and strength at all times, y'all, because he's good. He's good. He's greater than anything that you can obtain from this world. He loves us greater than we could ever know or think. So iniquity shall abound. So let's go to Matthew 24 again. Let's go to Matthew 24. So Matthew 24. So much that's in here. But understanding that when it says iniquity shall abound, this means that iniquity or that demon in that individual has taken it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where when the iniquity is full, that means that demon in that individual has taken full possession of that person. Now they are not just angry when they are cut off in traffic. They are not just angry when someone does something they did not like. This person is always furious all the time. 24/7, they are in that sinful, wicked state because the iniquity is full. Now, just imagine the earth, everybody, the world itself being in that full state of iniquity being full. Just imagine how evil the world would be, where everybody in the world will be a beast, full demonic possession. That would be a bad time, man. A time that will be the worst in history ever. Okay, so we got to look at the times that we're living in, y'all. See, what we're seeing now is the birth pains of all of the stuff that we're seeing the birth pains of it. So when you see different things going on in the news, and you see the people coming in and shooting masses of people, and the different things that you see with just the lust and just different things that we see going on, we're seeing the birth pains, because it's going to be a point where people will remain in that state at all times. The iniquity will continue to abound. It will continue to happen more frequently, more frequent, to the point where it remains, because it's at its full state. And it will be happening so much to the point where it's no longer news. So back in the day when, you would hear about certain shootings that would happen. Well, pretty much what happened is that if it becomes so common, it doesn't get the same appeal as it did, before. Like when it, like I say, when it had, like a long time ago, it would be, on the news for years, everybody talking about it, But as it continues to happen, people get used to it, and they're desensitized from it. Why? Because it happens more frequently. More frequently. What's happening in society? The iniquity in these individuals continues to abound to the point where it will get to the point where they reach the place of full iniquity. The iniquity in them is full, where that demon is in full manifestation and possession in that individual. And this is why the Bible says that when people take on the mark of the beast, they won't be able to buy nor sell. And I believe a part of that is because when a person is in full manifestation of that demon, of that beast, and everybody is that way in society, in order to buy or in order to sell, you're going to have to be a beast or demon. You're going to have to be in full manifestation of a demon. You see? Because you're going to have to cheat people. You're going to have to steal from people. You're going to have to rob people. I was thinking about when the coronavirus thing first hit, and there wasn't any things in the stores, and they had these women at the store fighting over toilet paper. Just think about that. And so you think about, like, man, and you saw these women fighting over toilet paper. It's like, what is going on? Well, what is it? What it is what caused them to go into that anger to want to fight? What took place to make that manifestation happen in the snap of a finger? Well, when they didn't have something that they needed, and it happened all of a sudden, the manifestation of that spirit, evil spirit, jumped on both of them because they needed toilet paper. And so what happens? They fight. See? So just imagine it being a place and time where it's not a lot of food, not a lot of product, you know what I'm saying? What's going to happen to people? In order to get things, you're going to have to rob, steal, cheat people. See, people are going to be at a full max and range of wickedness, man. Because things will be, see, how we see it now is, there's coming a time where I'm telling y'all, it's coming a time where things will be extremely bad. And how bad it will be, you can't even comprehend it now. Even though we see the beginning stages of these things, it's coming a time where, man, it's going to be pretty much all out war. In other words, in order for you to get, you're going to have to take. It's not going to be any more, give. We're going to give you this. People will be at a place of, I take what I want. And in order to survive at that time, you would have to be in full possession. A person will have to be in full possession of those evil spirits, because in order to buy or sell, you would have to be extremely wicked, cold-hearted, no love. We see these things happening today. We see it. Let something happen. Just think about I remember this. Also, it was when the gas at the time when Corona hit, there wasn't any gas in the gas stations, and you had people rushing to these gas stations, and people were shooting just to get some gas. The wickedness came out. What made the wickedness come out of these people to that level? What made that happen within a short amount of time? When they couldn't get what they wanted, it was a shortage. And what did it take for them to get? They had to what? Become a beast. I'm going to take. I'm going to fight. I will kill you to get what I need. See, without the mark of what? The beast, they won't be able to buy nor sell, because you're going to have to be a literal demon in order to obtain things at that time, man. And we see it beginning right now as we speak in 2021, y'all. That time, people will be at a place of iniquity being full. They will literally be beasts. But at that time, God is going to birth a people, a church that will be extremely strong in him. Extremely strong, y'all. Extremely strong. See, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself now. So okay. So now watch this. Now watch this, y'all. Let's look at Matthew 24, 15, and understand what's happening now is that we see how Satan and his demons, they're trying to create a society and a world that causes those evil spirits in people to get stronger and stronger and stronger. They're creating this society so that they could be at a place where they can feed on a consistent basis. And the world don't understand it. They don't see it. But when you see all the imagery through the internet, through the things, the wickedness through social media, TV, everywhere you're bombarded with all of this visual imagery of wickedness, of sin, of evil. And what is it that the enemy is doing? He's creating an environment for these evil spirits to get stronger and stronger in people. As they get stronger and stronger in people, iniquity will continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and wickedness and these evil acts will happen more consistently all the time, to the point where these demons will be so strong in people that these demons will have full control over these individuals, and they will become beasts because the iniquity will be at its full place. And like what Genesis 15 and 16, what did he say? Where the iniquity will be full. How he talked about the Amorites, how the iniquity wasn't full at that time. Right? And that's what caused the people of the children of Israel to to get back in bondage and be back again under captivity because their heart had grew apart from the Lord. But what would happen if when the Amorites, when they would be in full affliction, God then would cause them to come back to him through the furnace of affliction. See, that's what's happening in society right now, though. See, in society, that's what's happening with all of these things that's going on, man. This is how iniquity and these evil spirits will grow in people based upon what's happening. And like I said, let's continue to go. So Matthew 24:15, so much in this chapter, so much, but we just finna skim to it. So Matthew 24:15, look what he says. Look what Jesus says. Now, in verse 12, he says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Now, let's scroll down here to Matthew 24:15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. Now, look what he says. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. The abomination of desolation stand in the holy place. What do this is what I believe right here. See, Jesus is giving us all of these things to see so that we can understand where we are in time as it relates to his return, as it relates to the end, as it relates to what's going to take place and what's happening now. See, the abomination of desolation was the people bringing the abominable things in the holy place. The things that God despised, the things that God hated. When you start seeing the abominable things received in the holy place, this is the birth pains. And what is that? Look at what's happening now. Look at the church. These people are receiving, thinking it's okay for people to be gay coming in the church. You got gay preachers seeing a church where it is a gay couple, two men. Call him the pastor and the first gentleman, transgender pastor. These abominable things, man, in the holy place. And people are receiving it as if there's nothing wrong with it. Why? You know why? Iniquity is abounding. It happens so frequent. People are being satisfied with it. Iniquity is abounding in people, and the people are becoming more blinded. And these evil spirits are growing stronger and stronger. And they begin to embrace these things because the abominable thing, they are partaking in it. They may know somebody they got a friend that's gay, so they feel as if it's okay or cool, or they like watching, people like that on TV do certain things, okay, if you know what I'm talking about or whatever, and because of that gives them an open door of receiving it or okaying it. See, the iniquity in that individual is growing in them to the point where they think that it's okay for a person to live in that lifestyle. So what's happening? Those spirits get stronger in them to the point where they can't see the abominable thing anymore. But Jesus said, when you see this in the holy place, in the church, people that profess to be born again, you know that we're right at the brink of that wicked in place, man. Now, the one thing that the Lord was revealing to me is certain things that happen. Now, understand that these demons in people, the reason why the world will be at its worst place is because iniquity will abound to the point where the iniquity will be full, meaning that people will be operating in sin's full and iniquity's full place of operation consistently all the time. It will remain. This will just be them. People will be in full rage, full jealousy, full hatred, full like just everything at that time. And because of this, God told me that he would shorten the days. He revealed this to me in the scripture. Now there's several places where we see this take place. So when you go to verse 22, so Matthew 24, verse 22, listen to what he says. Let's look at verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, because the iniquity will abound at that time. People will be, and the iniquity will be full. Watch what he says. For then shall be great tribulations, such as was not since before the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. Verse 22, listen what he says. And except those days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Okay. Now, I want you to notice something. Go to verse 37. Again, this chapter, he's talking about the end times, and things that, as you begin to see certain things, unfold, to know where we are as it relates to time. Look at it, verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. Let's read that again. Now watch this very carefully. For as in the days of Noah, for as in the days that were before the flood, they, now keep your eye on that word, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. Who is the they? Now, two things I want us to see. Verse 22, where it says, and except those days be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Verse 38, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. So when we read the story of Noah, as far as the at the flood, let's go to Genesis chapter 6. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 3. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and their daughters were born unto them, the sons of God. The sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Okay. Now flip back to Matthew 24 and 38. For as in the days of Noah, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, right? Marrying and giving in marriage. Well, when you read Genesis, right here before the flood, who does the Bible only speak about as it relates to marriage? It's right here in verse 2. That the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Watch this. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. What does he do? He shortened the time. He shortened the lifespan. Why? Because at this time, look what was happening. The sons of God, these were angels. These were angels that were intertwining with women. These were demons intertwining with women, right? Listen what it says. Verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bear children, and they bear children to them, the same became mighty men which are of old, men of renown. Look at verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So what's happening at this place? These demons, okay, intertwine with women, right? And when they intertwine with the women, it talks about how the wickedness, how wicked they were, because evilness was in their minds and hearts continually. Why? Because these demons were in full manifestation in humanity at that time. Full manifestation. This is why their thoughts, watch what he says, the imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Look at verse 5. That's what he says. Only evil continually. What's happening? Iniquity is full. So people are fully possessed by demons at that point. And the wickedness was great to the point where God, what did he do? He had to shorten the time. He had to shorten the days. Why? Because people at that time was living 900 years. Well, what was the problem? What was the problem was these demons were being exercised inside of those people for that amount of time based upon what they were doing. Through sin, through lust, through things that was these demons getting in their minds, and the people continue to imagine these evil thoughts that these demons were suggesting, and then they begin to partake and do. And as each time they did it, these evil spirits began to get stronger and stronger and stronger through time of them repeatedly doing the act, to the point where these people were fully possessed by these demons. So who do we see that was given in marriage? Watch what it says in verse 2. And the sons of God saw the daughters of men that were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So who was it talking about? Who is Jesus talking about marrying as in the days of Noah? Well, the only people that we see as it relates to marrying was when the demons were intertwining with the women, right? So when you go back to Matthew 24, verse 38, when it says, and they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, who were the they? It was the demons. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. It was the demons what? Eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage. In other words, the demons will be at a place where they will be at a place of feasting inside of humanity. Why? The reason is because the world at this time will be so corrupted with evil, the evilness of imagery, through sin, through wickedness, that these demons would be feasting, freely eating, having a feast, to the point where they're growing so strong and so big that they are creating other demonic forces to come upon the earth. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is who Jesus was talking about in Matthew 24, who would be eating and drinking and marrying. See, he was talking about in the spirit how these demons would be operating in people, and how society would be so wicked to the point where he does the same thing in Genesis chapter 6. What did he do in Genesis chapter 6, y'all? What did God do in Genesis chapter 6, verse 3? And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is also flesh, yet his days shall be what? 120 years. He shortened the time. Why? Because because those demons were getting too strong in people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Notice what he says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. Same thing. And except those days be shortened. See, look what he says in verse 21 first. For then shall be great tribulation, such was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. Why? Because these demons will be in full manifestation in people. Why? Because they have gotten so strong through society and people that they will be in full operation, and they will be stronger than they had ever been on the earth. This is why he says the same thing in verse 22, and except those days be shortened. Why? Because those demons will be strong, man, to the point where even the elect, they will be so strong. The influence of the wickedness and the influence of temptation would be so strong that God will have to shorten the days, shorten the time. Why? For the elect's sake. So what does this mean? This is what the Lord showed me. See, even though this is going to be the worst time in human history because of these demons and people. See, we see it right now. We see these demons now are creating a habitation of a buffet of freely eating, like just through. Look at the stuff that you see on social media. Look at all the stuff online. Look at women's clothing. Look at the wickedness in video games. Everywhere you turn, you see filth. You see filth. You hear filth. You see the corruption in corporate America. Even at your job, you see the corruption at your job. People, they trying to take advantage of their employees. They taking advantage of the customers. They always trying to make a profit out of somebody else's demise. Well, what's happening? This is a breeding ground for these evil spirits to gain strength, to be stronger and stronger. See, in Genesis chapter 15, how did those evil spirits get strong? Notice what he said, that the imagery, every thought of their imagination was continuously evil. So how do these spirits get strong? It's through imagery. See, in Noah's day, they got stronger through the time. They lived 900 some years, right? But what's going to happen is there's going to be a time, and we see it now, how the world is today. But there's going to be a time where these demons will be way stronger in a shorter amount of time. But why? How will they get stronger than ever in a shorter amount of time than ever? And this is how they will get stronger in a short amount of time based upon imagery, the image. See, the mark of the beast, the image. Do you understand what I'm saying? Imagery. See, sight, hear, the image of the beast. When you see the lustful, when you see things on TV that promotes adultery, promotes fornication, promotes getting drunk, getting high, promotes stealing, promotes anger, promotes just all of this wickedness. What is it? It's imagery to what? Grow these demons in a rapid pace. Now, go with me to the book of Daniel. I want to show you something. Go with me to the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 3. Notice King Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel chapter 3, verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image. Now listen what it said. It made an image of gold, whose height. Notice it's allowing us to know the measurements. Whose height. This thing was tall. This thing was big. Watch this. Was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. And he set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. And the king, watch this, and then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, the rulers of the provinces came to the dedication. And then also, if you go down to look at verse 4, then Herod cried out, to you it is also commanded, O people and nations and languages, that what time you shall hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So what's going on? See, Nebuchadnezzar is showing is a type of Satan, an evil spirit, the devil. What is he doing? He's wanting you to worship an image. Because see, Satan knows how he's going to get his demons to grow in society and manifest themselves in a heightened degree where they become beasts inside of people at a rapid amount of time, because he doesn't have a lot of years to grow in people, because people's lifespan is shortened. So his method of growing these demons is to increase the image, increase imagery, increase. That's why you got, I was driving the other day, and I'm driving and the Lord quickened something in my spirit. It was 3 cars coming toward me. He said, I want you to look at each car and see how many people are looking at their cell phone. So I was like, okay, so first car come up, person looking down on their cell phone driving. Second person come up, they not looking at their cell phone. Third person come up, they looking at their cell phone driving. And I realized, wow, man, look at like majority of people are in their phone 24/7. What? Looking at some on Facebook, looking at an image. All of these things affect you. So the imagery, what the enemy is doing, he's increasing the height and the level of imagery through everything around you to grow his evil spirits in people, man. That's what Nebuchadnezzar did. Notice what it said. The image was, it gives you the height of it. Increase the height of imagery. That's how these evil spirits gonna grow. Increase the breadth of the image. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, that's how the enemy is growing these demons, and that's why the world is becoming more wickeder and wickeder. The image is a big thing now. Image is the everything now. People sell things based upon the image. People taking selfies left and right. You got apps that where you can take a selfie and put a filter of how you look. Imagery is everything now. Why? Because the image, that is going to be the main tool of how Satan is growing these demons from being on one level a serpent to the next level a dragon, a ferocious beast. Oh, man. Now, but in the midst of the greatest, see, we see what's going on, but what's going to happen, y'all? See, God, there is going to be a move of God, y'all, that is going to be greater than we've ever seen. And I'm going to tell you something. This is what I believe. I don't believe that the last day church age is the church of Laodicea. I don't believe that's the last day church age. I believe that's the church age that we're in now. We're in the Laodicean church where people are spiritually bankrupt as it relates to knowing Jesus because of the material wealth and gain and all what's going on. You know, this is the church that God is most displeased with. This is what I believe. But I don't believe the Laodicean church is the last church age. You know who I believe the last church age is, y'all? Go to Revelations 2. The last church age, I believe, is the church of Smyrna. And I tell you why. Notice, watch this. What did Jesus say in Matthew 24? Matthew 24, verse 22. What did he have to do? He will have to what? Shorten. He shortened the days for the elect's sake, right? Look at this church, church of Smyrna. Look at Revelation chapter 2, verse 8. And unto the angel of the church of Smyrna, write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works and tribulation. See, it's going to be the worst time. And poverty. See, not only is it going to be the worst time, it's going to be poverty. Because, see, at that time, people are going to be so wicked that you're going, in order to buy or sell, you're going to have to be a beast. You're going to have to cheat people to the full extent. You're going to have to rob people to the full extent. You're going to have to be a beast at all times in order to survive at that time. That's what the world will be. But this church, that church, they're going to be material wise poor. They're going to go through extreme tribulation like never before. But listen to what he says. But thou art rich. Because why? They're going to be the closest, y'all. Hear me. That church, that people is going to be the closest to Jesus that has ever been. The manifestation of Christ is going to be the greatest manifestation that there's ever been, and it's going to be birthed through the furnace of affliction. The iniquity of the Amorites will be at its full manifestation, and therefore the birthing of the greatest people of God. that the world would ever know will be birthed at that time. Listen to what Jesus said, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. In other words, it was the false church. There would be people that the church, the quote unquote church, as we know it, it would be so corrupted at that time that it would be the synagogue of Satan. Like Satan, they would be all doing all kind of abominable things. And we see that right now, beginning now, preaching about riches, having people's minds on things of this world and things of this earth, and of the abominable thing of people, gay people and transgender pastors and all of these things. That's going to be that's going to be like normalcy at that time. And the quote unquote false church, it would be the synagogue of Satan. Now listen what he says. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. Now remember what we talked about. We just in Genesis chapter 15. With Noah, what did God say? Let's go back there right quick. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 15. What did he say? But in the fourth, chapter 15, verse 16, but in the fourth generation, there shall come hither again, what? Back in bondage, right? Didn't he say that? That's what he meant. He was talking about the children of Israel. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Look what he says in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. Watch what he says. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Now that's what I want you to focus on. 10 days. Notice what happened. The days are what? Shortened. Same thing he said in Matthew 24. What did he say? He was going to shorten the days for the elect's sake. Same thing he said in Genesis chapter 6. He shortened the days. But in Revelation right here, why is he shortening the days for the elect's sake? Why is he shortening the days? Look what he says. Ye shall have tribulation 10 days. That's not long. What is going to happen in those 10 days? I tell you what I believe it takes place. The greatest manifestation that we've ever seen. The greatest manifestation that the church, the body of Christ, will ever have seen. This will be the greatest manifestation. And this is, I believe, where the rapture takes place. I believe it is in that church, the church of Smyrna, the church that, see, Jesus didn't have anything negative to say about that church. Didn't he say that he's coming for a church that is without spot, wrinkle, or blemish? That church is going to be perfect. That's the church that he's going to manifest himself in a way that the world has never seen, and it's going to be birthed through the furnace of affliction. But even though there's going to be great tribulation and great affliction, the days will be shortened because God is going to rescue his people. Just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were in the fiery furnace. But even though they went through the most horrible affliction, we saw Jesus. The world saw him. Even the world even saw him. They gazed in the furnace and they said they seen one that looks like the Son of Man. They were able to see Jesus. And that's when everybody will see him. You'll see him then. The world will see him. His level of manifestation will be greater than had ever been seen through the worstest time that there's ever been. What we see now, y'all, is the birthing of all this taking place through the wickedness growing. And these demons, man, they're trying to create a world where all they do is getting people and just feed on the filth on TV, feed on the filth on the radio, feed on the filth of the conversations of people around you, feed on the filth of in politics, feed on the filth in business. And grow in a rapid pace based upon the heightened level of the image of the beast in your eyes, in your ears, on a consistent basis, man. Church, we gotta stay ready, y'all. We gotta stay close to Jesus. Stay close to Jesus, y'all, for the days are getting short. God bless. Peace.